On May 18, 2008, in a quiet house in Pinecrest, Florida, a 24-year-old man sat down and wrote a letter. Not to a friend, not to his family, to the world. His name was Jonathan James, and 9 years earlier, at just 15 years old, he had done something no one in American history had ever done before. He had broken into the Pentagon. Not just the Pentagon, he had also walked through the digital doors of NASA. He had stolen software worth $1.7 million, software that controlled the air and temperature inside the International Space Station, where astronauts were living. He was a child. He was doing it from his bedroom, and he thought he was just playing around. What happened between that bedroom in Florida and that final letter is one of the most haunting stories in the history of the internet. A story about genius, about curiosity, about a system that did not know what to do with a boy who was simply too good, too soon.
This is the story of Jonathan James, the kid who hacked the Pentagon and paid with his life. South Florida suburbs, early 1990s, a modest house, palm trees. Jonathan was born in 1983. His father was a computer programmer. From the time Jonathan could sit upright, computers were everywhere in that house. By age 6, he was not playing games. He was trying to understand how the machine worked. When his parents put parental controls on the home computer to limit his screen time, Jonathan did not complain. He removed the restrictions himself. He was 6 years old. As he grew older, the obsession deepened. While other teenagers were at the beach, Jonathan was teaching himself C programming and Unix. He read technical manuals the way other kids read comic books. People who knew him described him as quiet, thoughtful, and unexpectedly funny. But there was always a part of him living inside the machine. By 15, he was operating at a level most professional security engineers never reach. And in the hidden world of networks and servers, he had a name: C0 M-RAID. 1999. The internet is booming. Governments are racing online, too fast. The summer of 1999 was electric. The world was going digital. And most of the organizations moving online were doing it quickly, without thinking carefully about who else might be watching. From his bedroom, Jonathan could see the cracks in the wall. In June of 1999, he found a vulnerable server in Huntsville, Alabama. He installed malware, elevated his access, and moved through the network. The server belonged to NASA, specifically the Marshall Space Flight Center, the division building software for the International Space Station. Jonathan moved through 13 NASA computers, and then he found something that even he did not expect: the source code for the software controlling the life support systems of the ISS, temperature, humidity, the environment keeping astronauts alive. He downloaded it. Estimated value, $1.7 million. A space station orbiting Earth. Below it, a teenager in a dark bedroom. When NASA discovered the intrusion, they shut down their entire computer system for 3 weeks. The cost of that shutdown? $41,000. But Jonathan was not finished. A government building at night, security cameras, a humming server room. 2 months later, Jonathan found another server, this one in Virginia. It had a vulnerability that was not supposed to be there. He walked in. This time, the network belonged to the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, the DTRA, a division of the Department of Defense tasked with analyzing threats from nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. Jonathan installed a backdoor and a sniffer, a program that captured everything passing through the network. Between September and October 1999, he intercepted credentials of DTRA staff, accessed 10 Department of Defense computers, and downloaded more than 3,300 internal emails from Pentagon employee inboxes. He read them the way a teenager reads anything he is not supposed to have. He did not publish them. He did not sell them. He caused no damage on the way in or out. But in Washington, something had already started moving. A dark office, an analyst staring at a screen, the word intrusion. The FBI initially believed they were dealing with a professional criminal organization. The skill level was too high, the methods too clean. What they found instead was a teenager in Florida. A suburban house at dawn, then flashing lights. On January 26, 2000, federal agents from the Department of Defense and NASA arrived at the James family home before sunrise. Bulletproof vests, weapons drawn. Jonathan, now 16, was woken not by his alarm, but by the sound of his front door opening. He later recalled the moment with a calm humor that was very much his own. He said he became very popular at school that day because of the men with machine guns who came to visit. 6 devices were seized. Jonathan cooperated fully. He explained in clear detail exactly how he had done everything. He was not defiant. He had found open doors and walked through them. The prosecutors saw it differently. In September 2000, Jonathan pleaded guilty to 2 counts of juvenile delinquency. He was sentenced to 7 months of house arrest and probation until age 18. He had to write letters of apology to NASA and to the Department of Defense. He became the first juvenile in United States history sentenced to prison time for hacking. After violating probation, a positive drug test, he served 6 months in a juvenile correctional facility in Alabama. When he came out, he walked away from hacking. He tried to build a life. For several years he was left alone. And then, in 2008, a storm formed that had nothing to do with him at all. A busy retail store, credit card machines, thousands of transactions. Albert Gonzalez was one of the most destructive cybercriminals in American history. Working with a network of associates, he orchestrated the largest identity theft case the country had ever seen. Credit card data stolen from over 100 million accounts. As Secret Service agents tracked Gonzalez, they kept finding a set of initials in the records, JJ. They concluded, incorrectly, that it stood for Jonathan James. In May 2008, agents arrived at Jonathan's door again. He was 24. He had not hacked anything in years. He was living quietly. They searched his house and found no evidence connecting him to the case, but Jonathan could see exactly where things were heading. He had read what happened to other hackers caught in the crossfire of federal investigations. He knew that Gonzalez was cooperating with investigators as an informant. He believed the government had already decided he was guilty. He believed he would be sent to prison for years for something he did not do. A closed door, evening light fading. On May 18, 2008, Jonathan sat down and wrote his final letter. He said he did not believe in the justice system. He said he had nothing to do with the TJX case. He wrote, "I have lost control of the situation, and this is my only way to fix it." Jonathan James was found dead that day. He was 24 years old. The investigation into TJX was completed. Gonzalez and his associates were convicted. Jonathan was never formally charged. He had been right. There was no evidence. There was only a set of initials, and a past that would not leave him alone. Server rooms, networks humming, the glow of monitors around the world. Every agency Jonathan entered in 1999 rebuilt their security systems afterward. The vulnerabilities he exposed were real. The warnings were real. When he told reporters simply and clearly that if a determined person wanted to get into the Pentagon, they could, he was not bragging. He was right. The question his story leaves behind is not whether what he did was wrong. It was. The question is, what do you do with someone like that? Do you punish them? Recruit them? Protect them? In Jonathan's case, the system gave no real answer, and a brilliant, complicated, deeply human young man paid the price for that silence.